2 weekends for helping us out. And you know what? Let's end this show. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to get together. We're going to get together tomorrow if the Lord said the same. So we want you to go out and be a blessing to us. God bless you. We'll holler at you tomorrow if the Lord says the same. If he did not, it's your last day on earth. We hope that when you see the Master, he says, servant, well done. Because of the life you've lived, work you've done to people, you've asked for forgiveness when you trespassed against them. Again, this is Cheryl Underwood Radio. 378 affiliates strong.
Broadcasting from the First National Bank Tower. This is KLEKLP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council.
Good morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. An isolated light shower today, partly to mostly sunny, near 90. A north wind 5 to 10. Mostly clear skies overnight. That overnight temperature around 65. Thursday and Friday, mostly sunny. Temperatures will stay warm in the mid to upper 80s each afternoon. And partly to mostly sunny near 90 for the weekend. Jonesboro, that's your KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam says the controversial extradition bill, which caused months of protests, will be withdrawn. Rescue teams have arrived in parts of the Bahamas, which have been badly damaged by Hurricane Dorian. British MPs are voting on Wednesday on whether to extend the Brexit deadline to avoid a no deal. And France is introducing emergency measures on domestic violence, with at least 101 women killed by their partner or former partner this year.
It's 9:01.
Community Conversations is brought to you by Arkansas Early Learning, offering no-cost childcare in Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas. Applications at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM, good morning to you on your Wednesday, September 4th, 2019. This is the first Wednesday of the month, and this is Community Conversation, so you know what that means. We have Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott with us today, and also joining us is Craighead County E911 Director, Mr. Jeff Presley, and we got a lot of things to talk about, so we're going to go right into it. This is Kato Wonder. I'm in the studio with you. I'm filling in for Kubila. Kubila's a little under the weather, so we're going to definitely keep her lifted up in prayer that she returns to the saddle very soon. So, gentlemen, how you doing today?
Doing great. Good morning.
All right, so, Chief, we'll start off as we always do with kind of give us the latest on what's going on with JPD.
Well, it's been a busy past few weeks. We'll just kind of start with last night. We had another homicide investigation on North Floyd Street, trailer park up there, and we began that investigation about 7:30 last night, and it's still currently ongoing. Going back a little further, we had our sex offender compliance check. Our department, along with the Department of Corrections and the U.S. Marshal Service, we did a compliance check on our sex offenders that are registered in Craighead County, and just to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing according to their rules and regulations. And that operation went successful. We had
actually, it got a lot of attention because one particular person was actually panhandling, and and the fact that Sally even made the post, warning people not to give money to this individual because he was panhandling in areas in which sex offenders are not allowed to be.
Right. So he was subsequently ended up being arrested for violating his terms.
Now, when a sex offender is arrested for violating the terms, how long are they put in jail for?
Well, it depends on the judge. I mean, everything's different and depends on the circumstances of their violation. So
you have like an average time, a few days, a week, or?
Again, no, could be longer than that. It just depends on the court and what they assess and how seriousness that they think that offense is.
Okay.
Obviously, if he just did an intersection is one thing, as opposed to if he reoffended with the child, then that would obviously
carry a stiffer penalty.
Carry a stiffer penalty, sure.
All right, and so getting back to other happenings with JPD.
We had we concluded our in-house academy graduation last Friday, and so we now have 9 new recruits that's in the cars. Started their FTO program with a field training officer. That's a 3-month process. Then hopefully after that 3 months, they'll be released on their own and be able to get out and supplement the shift.
Okay, so do you have any current openings now, or are you back up to full capacity?
At present, we have 6 openings. And so, as always, we test once a month, trying to keep an applicant pool going. We do have some current backgrounds going on. So we hope to be filling some of those slots here in the near future.
And, of course, you can apply at JonesboroPolice.com if you've ever dreamed of being a police officer or you have a burning desire to serve and protect your community. Go on that website. I believe Sergeant Waterworth is the point of contact for more information on that, correct?
You are correct.
Alrighty.
And we've started our fall session of our Citizen Police Academy program.
Join it.
Yeah, we strongly encourage people to join. We run the program twice a year, in the fall and in the spring. And we have 28 people in class this time, and so it's going quite well. And again, if you have an interest in it, then contact Sergeant Lyle Waterworth and get your name on the list for the next class.
And I am alumni, and of course one thing that Chief did mention is there is an alumni association for once you go through the program, you can volunteer and participate in events with other CPA grads and do other things to help the police department. In fact, my favorite event will be coming up next month. Now I got Touch a Truck mixed up with Trunk or Treat,
right? And
we'll talk about that a little later on in the show.
Yep, we do have Touch a Truck coming up this weekend,
and KLK will be providing the music for that.
So, and we this month with the fair coming up, Barbecue Fest coming up, and then, like you said, we do have Trunk or Treat coming up again, and we plan on running that again this year. That has been a huge success in the years that we've done this, and the turnout's been good, and the community seems to really like it.
And of course, you mentioned all of these community events that are going on, and obviously it puts a strain on your officer as far as providing security, because in addition to these events, you've got the A-State home games, and it's all hands on deck. In fact, at this past game, I saw you at the game and chatted with you for a bit. So how do you manage all of these requests for security for all of these community events to keep people safe?
Right. It's again, there's a lot of things that do take place, and as in the football game, there's probably 50-something law enforcement officers out there from all agencies, state police, the sheriff's office, JPD, that it takes to work a game like that. And but it's just kind of a shuffling game. Events come up, and we have to pre-plan and find somebody to fill those slots in so we can have security at it. So that's why we like to be notified of these events early on so we can do our planning and coordinating. And so far, it works out.
And this is a situation where the reserve officers would come in for that additional help if you need it.
Absolutely. The reserve officers do help us out on the football games because, again, it does take a large amount of staff to provide security out at the stadium and assist in the parking and things like that, and getting the traffic in and out of the facility. And, of course, after the game is over with, we control the traffic lights at the intersections along Red Wolf to keep the flow of traffic, trying to clear that traffic as quickly as possible. So if you're not involved in the stadium, leaving the football stadium, and you're coming from other directions, you may realize that the red light seems to take longer sometimes after a game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because officers are at the intersection controlling the lights, trying to get the traffic out of the stadium and get it flowing as quickly as possible. So it takes a little bit of patience. There is a lot of traffic at those events, and just people be patient and hang with us, and we'll get everybody to move through.
And of course, go Red Wolves.
Go Red Wolves.
We are speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott and Craighead County, E91 Director Jeff Presley. If you have a question or a comment for either of these gentlemen, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Or you can leave your questions or your comments on our Facebook Live feed. Shout out to Quabila, even though she couldn't make it, she is watching, and she says, good morning, sorry I couldn't be there. And shout out to Tamara Charmaine, who says, good morning. Appreciate you all for checking in. So, Jeff, let's go ahead and bring you in. First start off with the same question. Tell us the latest, what's going on with E911.
Well, it's been a busy year for us. We're right on the breaking edge of some new technology in the 911 business, not only in Jonesboro and Arkansas, but across the nation. A new platform called Next Generation 911 will be here. Part of it is already here in Jonesboro, believe it or not, but within middle of 2020, we will be compliant with national FCC standards for Next Generation 911. Very excited about that, and to break it down a little bit, what that's going to do for the citizens of Jonesboro is when you call 911, it's going to speed up that service. It's going to have accountability for our field units, so we know exactly where they're at all times. So this is some new software, hardware that's coming in, and it's going to be a busy time with the training and getting this implemented, but it's right here on us.
Now, in the past, when you've come on this program, you've talked about Smart 911. Will Smart 911 be more integrated into this new system? How would it work with that?
It is. We're using a product called Rapid SOS. So when you dial 911 on a cell phone, and 90% of our 911 calls are actually coming in on cell phones right now. So you got that smartphone and you're in need, and you dial us. The first thing that happens is your point of contact, where you're located, will show up on our mapping system before we ever answer that call. Mm-hmm. Along with that, it shows us the closest available resource, police officer, firefighter, and paramedic to your call. So that's going to help the dispatchers, to get that information correct and quickly to get a response.
Now, would the system have like a feature where, let's say someone calls on their cell phone, that person could turn their camera on and it would be beamed to dispatch so that the dispatcher could maybe see a video of what's going on? I think that would be a good feature.
That is a part of the Next Generation platform. That's in phase 2. So that's going to be a couple of years out, where you can actually shoot a video or a still photo and send that to a 911 center. So that's part of that platform. And some of the equipment to do that's already installed in Jonesboro and Craighead County 911 Center. We're waiting on some of the vendors to reach that point.
Okay, and this is a question Kabila has. With the new system, will you have to create a profile like you have to do currently for Smart 911?
No, this is going to be automatic. So whenever you dial 911 with a smartphone, it's going to automatically start tracking that phone. So if you're on the move, we can see where you're going, how fast you're going, what direction. Even after you disconnect from that call, or if you lose service, we can still track that phone for up to 15 minutes for safety.
Well, that'd definitely be good, because sometimes phones die where a person may go unconscious and they can no longer actually respond to the call. Now, we do have to slightly switch gears just a little bit. Obviously, 911 is a calling, and it's something that requires a lot of patience. It's something that requires a lot of dedication. But sometimes, like with any profession, sometimes bad things happen. And there was an incident in Fort Smith where a person was caught up in some flash flooding, and they were fearful of drowning, and they called 911. And unfortunately, the operator was less than professional with that person, and unfortunately, the caller lost their life over that. So how do you feel when you see something like that, and what do you do with your 911 dispatchers to ensure that something like that doesn't happen here?
Well, part of this new platform on Next Generation 911 is training, and part of that training is, as managers, to be on the lookout for that classic, what we call burnout. It can happen in any profession, but in emergency services, it can come up on a person pretty quick. My understanding was this dispatcher in Fort Smith was on her last day. She had resigned, and I think it was a classic case of burnout, which is sad, especially for the caller. But our protocol in Jonesboro, we live by this saying, when in doubt, send them out. I would rather send the full response out, get fire department, paramedics, and police on the scene, and not need them, but have them there ready. So if this call would have been handled correctly in that center, that dispatcher would have put it in the dispatch system. Another dispatcher would have had personnel on the scene looking for her quickly. So I think that's a big problem nationwide is burnout. We expect these folks, and a lot of them are young folks, that really does not have a lot of life experience behind them. So we train them for 3 months to take these calls. And then after 3 months of training and they pass all the tests, we put them on midnights, working weekends and holidays. You know, we do all that for about $15 an hour. So you're right, it has to be a calling. You have to have a passion to help and want to help people. But we always got to be aware of that burnout situation.
And several of your dispatchers, I believe, have been there for like many years, even a couple decades.
Absolutely. You know, I started out a year after the 911 center went live in Craighead County in Jonesboro. I've been there 27 years. I've got a couple of folks that's been there almost 30 years. It's one of those, you know, you either love the job and you're there every day, or you're looking for another job. Because you deal with some things that most people don't have to deal with in life, and that could be the next call that you pick up on.
Well, you know, I can only imagine. Of course, getting back to CPA, that is one of the things that you actually do get exposed to. You actually get to sit down. You have a headset put on you. You won't actually take the call, but you'll actually hear what comes through. And, you know, like Jeff said, people call, somebody maybe having in the middle of a home invasion. Somebody may have, well, give you a perfect example. Yesterday here in the studio, we actually had somebody pass out and had to send emergency response, you know, here. And we're definitely praying for the individual, that hopefully the individual had a speedy recovery. Or, you know, a fire, trapped in a fire, car accident, cars folded up each and every kind of way. I mean, you just never know. You know what that person may be dealing with.
And you know what's really changed the outlook of 911 centers across the state is now all the devices that we can connect to a phone and to 911 systems. So we may have an accident, you know, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon at Southwest Drive and Parker Road. We may end up getting 50 911 calls over that one accident, but we can't just take that call and say we've already got it, because it could be a separate accident. It could be a separate point of view that somebody from the front can see a fire in that car. So we have to ask those good questions and get those good answers to ensure that our first responders are safe.
Absolutely, and we definitely appreciate all the hard work that the first responders of Jonesboro are doing. Of course, programming note, on September 11th, each and every year, we honor our first responders by having them on Community Conversation. So I know Jeff is working on getting us some guests for that, and we're definitely looking forward to that. So let's bring it back to Chief Elliott, and we're kind of piggybacking off of this. Obviously, probably one of the worst calls that a dispatcher or an officer would get would be a call of a school shooting. And, of course, Chief, obviously you have personal experience with this with the West Side shooting. But a different angle that I want to ask about this is from the perspective of the child. I mean, it's one thing for the adults, but now we're unfortunately in a society. Our society has got to a point to now, be honest with you, when even me, when I was a kid, that's something I just could have never imagined. Now it's gotten to the point where schools are actually having active shooter drills. So just give me your thoughts on that. I don't even really know how to ask the question.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that our society has gotten that way, that, you know, along with fire drills, we have to have active shooter drills. But it is mandated pretty much now that the schools do this kind of training and, you know, make people aware and educate staff on procedures and what to do in such an event. And, you know, too many times we turn the TV on or radio on and hear news of such incident taking place, but we also know that these are not happening just at schools. It's happening at different shopping malls and venues,
churches.
Churches.
Nope, nowhere is safe.
No, you know, it's the potential is there in any place there's a public gathering. So we always encourage, as I always have, just people, you need to be aware of your surroundings and what's going on. Pay attention. There's nothing so important that you have to be on your phone and Facebook as your walking through a crowd of people, or even going from your car to inside the store. I see a lot of people on their phones and distracted. And one, it's a safety hazard because your traffic in the parking lot may or may not see you, and you can be hit. And then two, you're setting yourself up to be victimized of a crime. If there's somebody lurking out there to commit a robbery or to snatch your purse or something, they're looking for that person that's distracted. So just pay attention to what your surroundings, be vigilant day in and day out, and then if things do take place, run, hide, fight, do something. Don't just stand there. Get moving. Get the information called in and give, as Jeff said, we don't scream at the dispatchers, just relay the pertinent information. People get excited and panic, and they get to yelling and screaming and talking real fast, and then hang up. It's like, no, just stay on the phone and give the pertinent information, and just try to calm down a little bit. And we want to keep people on the phone as best we can so we can track these people, because if somebody's walking through a crowd or running or whatever, the perpetrator, then we want to keep a kind of feed that information to the officers as they're responding to the scene. So,
and I think a little side note on that, some of these active shooters and some of these things going on, if we as family members or friends or co-workers keep an eye on someone and we see that they're changing their attitude, they're angry, things like that. That old saying, you see something, say something.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you get that gut feeling that, hey, some of the things they're saying is almost a threat or they don't seem normal, report that. The good communication ahead of time, maybe we can mitigate some of that. So, and sometimes it's in our own families. And if we can see that action, that change in that personality and report that is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting ready to go into our break. We got a question on our live feed from Tamara. Tamara, don't go anywhere. We will ask you questions about school safety on the A-State campus. We'll ask that on the other side of the break, and we will have more of your questions and your comments, along with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott and Craighead County E91 Director Jeff Presley. This is Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Should you stay or should you go? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. So, you're unhappy in your marriage. You're trying hard to make it work, but your spouse is making no effort to make things better. The question creeps into your mind. Should I stay or should I go? Well, before you make a life-altering decision, here are some things you need to consider. First, have you identified the real issue? Sort through the haze of conflict in your marriage and try to pinpoint the underlying problem and bring it to light. Second, consider all the options. Serious marriage counseling may be a starting point. Third, visualize the outcome of each option. For example, trying counseling just might have a better result than throwing in the towel. Remember, your family first.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
You've heard from both sides of the 1% sales tax debate. Now hear both sides debate face to face for the first time ever from the KLEK studio on the radio on 102.5 FM and stream live on our Facebook page. Members of Team Jonesboro and Citizens Text Enough will sit face-to-face with hosts Wabila Jones and Leganzi Kale for 90 minutes from 3 o'clock p.m. until 4:30 p.m. Monday, September 9th. Each side will debate the pros and cons of the 1% sales tax proposal. Join in on the discussion, and then on Election Day, Tuesday, September 10th, vote. Note, KLEK 102.5 FM and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council do not endorse, support, or oppose this issue. However, we encourage everyone to get out and vote.
The Office of Diversity and Community Engagement at Arkansas State University, under the leadership of Dr. Maurice Gibson, is a proud supporter of KLEK and is dedicated to finding innovative ways to advance their mission of creating a diverse and inclusive environment, conducive to educating, enhancing, and enriching lives, uplifting various and diverse groups on the A-State campus, and striving to maintain Arkansas State University a place that is inclusive to all individuals, regardless of origin, color, religion, socioeconomic status, or sexual orientation. More information about the Arkansas State University Office of Diversity and Community Engagement is available at www.astate.edu/diversity and 870-972-3081.
The Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was established on June 28, 1997 by 13 dynamic women who accepted the challenge of chartering the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter. Today, the chapter continues to impact the Jonesboro community by sponsoring programs such as the Sonia D. Williams Scholarship Breakfast, Community Back to School Bash, Delta Academy, Voter Registration Drive, and Autism Awareness. Our focus correlates with the national theme, joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. Our chapter supports Delta's 5-point programmatic thrust: economic development, educational development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, and political awareness and involvement. More information about the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is available at www.jonesboroalumnidst.org or via email jonesboroalumni@live.com.
Do you like the music you hear on KLEK 102.5 FM? Do you like the educational programming that we provide? Do you like the service we provide to the community? Do you like having a station to finally call your own that represents you? If so, please stop by or call any of our underwriters or sponsors that you hear on KLEK and tell them thank you for their support. The support of our underwriters and sponsors is vital for us to stay on the air, so be sure to let them know that you thank them for their support.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with our guests, Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott and Craighead County E91 Director Jeff Presley. And if you have a question or a comment for either of these gentlemen, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080, or you can leave your questions or your comments on our Facebook Live feed. And before we went to break, we had a question from Tamara Charmaine, who says, what steps would you all take to make us students feel safer on campus? Because when the rumor that someone was going to shoot up schools in Jonesboro, students were missing classes because they were too scared to go to class, and she attends Arkansas State University.
Absolutely. First, ASU has a good security police department out there. They have good protocol in place, and they're always vigilant about the protection of the the students and staff out there. But in the event that, as this rumor had gotten started the other day about the school shooting in Arkansas and Kentucky, which this rumor originated from a source overseas, so it was deemed not a credible threat. But anyway, it got passed out on social media, and people began to panic and concern over it. And it did cause a lot of folks to skip classes and stay home from school that day. But to the students at ASU, one, you have an alert system. All students out on campus should be signed up for the ASU alert system. And as soon as the PD hears of any kind of threat, they're going to send an alert out to the students. Obviously, if we work very well with ASU PD on these kind of events, and so if something does come up, we will give them the information. And then something happens on campus, then they feed us the information. And obviously, if there's a critical incident on campus, as it was back in 2015, where the guy came on campus in the truck and in front of the Student Union Center, I had over 20 officers on that campus in less than 5 minutes. So we will put every resource we have to wherever the situation is at, whatever. If there's a school that's being threatened or a business, whatever, we have resources that we can get to that scene very quickly. And then other resources will be coming shortly thereafter. So we just ask people to be vigilant. If you do hear something or see something, and say something, be involved and help take care and protect your campus.
All right. So, Chief, the next thing I want to ask you about is you're starting to see in some parts of the country pushes for red flag laws, where I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that if a family member suspects that a person may be behaving erratically, then that family member can, I think, petition a court, and that person's weapons could be removed. And it's been a bit of controversy because there's been some fear that if these laws pass, that they could be abused and people could have their guns taken away without due process. So, Chief, kind of educate the audience on more about what these potential laws may be and your thoughts on it if this were to come to pass in Arkansas.
Sure. Well, one, people that act out in these kind of situations, they are having some kind of mental crisis that's taken place to begin with. So if an intervention by a family member does take place, then that's a positive thing. And if they're deemed that they don't need to be in possession of firearms, then that's the court is doing what they should be doing. Because if somebody's having a mental crisis and unstable and had made these threats, and you need to restrict them from possessing firearms. So the states are looking at enacting, as you said, some of these red flag laws that restrict the person from possessing, owning firearms. Does that mean that they always going to comply with the law? Certainly not. They have other means of accessing weapons, and a lot of times that includes stealing them. But it's trying to be proactive. There's been, like I said, too many of these shootings taking place, and we know that most of the shooters are having some kind of mental crisis going on, something in their life that has pushed them to this point. A lot of times, could be terminated from a job or just whatever has triggered something in their life that has set them off to do something like this. So I guess back to your question, everybody should be entitled to due process, but I think a temporary order of restricting that person until they can be evaluated would be a positive thing. And then if they do go through a due process, and then once they've been deemed that they should not have a weapon, if they have a problem that cannot be corrected, then I do believe that's an avenue we need to go with.
Okay, and I believe I saw online somewhere that there was, a sheriff in Arkansas who has stated that said if it passed that he will order his deputies to not enforce a particular law. But it's an issue that people need to stay tuned and stay on top of for the latest developments.
Again, I think the intent there is to try to keep weapons out of the hands of those that are not responsible to have them.
Okay, I want to bring Jeff back into the conversation because we had a comment from Tamara who says if you see something, then you won't have to say something if it's a gun involved. And Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the 911 system now has a means where you can actually text if something is going on, because obviously, I can understand where she's coming from. If someone's going around waving a gun, you probably don't want to pick up a phone and call 911 because you'll probably be the first person to get shot.
That's correct. Safety first. Common sense must rule. If you're in danger's way, get to a safe spot. But you're right, we do have a true text to 911 system. So you can actually just put 911 and send a text. It will ring into the workstation where the dispatcher's at, and open a chat box, and they can talk back and forth and answer you. And we can also track that location of that phone.
So even if the person takes 911 and didn't say anything else because they were afraid of their movements being seen, because that phone can still send out the location and help can be sent.
We would have some good information.
And it's important, again, that you remember that you provide good, accurate information of what's going on. Be clear and concise on what's happening. You just can't say. People would tend to say, "Hey, we got a shooting wherever." If you have the time to be more clear on where at and what's going on and describe the offender, things like that, would be very helpful.
That's correct. When we give out information over the radio to police, we start from the head down. So if they're wearing a red cap, that may be that one little clue that helps save that officer or save a citizen. If the bad guy's got that red cap, that's what he's looking for. So every little detail, and we hear it every day as 911 operators. I don't have time to answer these questions, just get them out here. Well, we're asking those questions for safety.
We're still getting people on the way, but
Right.
we're trying to get information gathered to feed to the officers that are responding, so when they get there, they can get to that threat immediately, quicker. So without that information, when we do arrive, then we're trying to find somebody to direct them to where they need to be, as opposed to if we feed that information in as we're responding, then we can have obviously a faster response and get to the problem.
And that is true. We get a lot of folks that says just get them on the way. Well, it's a team effort in the 911 center. So somebody may be taking that call, putting it in the dispatch system. Another dispatcher's got personnel on the way.
Okay. And of course, if you want to see how all of this works, I encourage you to sign up for Citizens Police Academy, and you will actually get a chance to sit in the 911 center and see how it goes down. And you'll also get the opportunity to ride in the police car. That was actually my favorite part, to actually see what a day in the life of a police officer is. You get to shoot the gun for all of my gun lovers out there. You get to see the SWAT team and the street crimes unit, all of the heavy gear that they wear. And we'll be talking about the street crimes unit in just a little bit. But so many things that you get to experience by being a part of the Citizens Police Academy. So I can't plug that enough. Shameless plug.
Yeah, I'd like to encourage everybody, if you're interested in 911 and what goes on, just go to our monthly report, and it's posted on the police department website, and you can look at the amount of call volume that is handled by dispatch every month. We do statistics on everything, on how many calls are handled by each agency and how many phone calls come in per month. So it's an amazing amount of data that comes through that the people at dispatch have to deal with day in and day out. Once you look at those numbers, it's pretty overwhelming.
Absolutely.
And Kubila asks, in a case where someone is in a stressful situation, can the caller just give you all of the info up front? I do understand protocol.
That does happen from time to time. We'll work with what information we got. The more information that we can get is a safer situation for those responding and the citizens around that area. But, if we just get that call, I need help, we're sending you help.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Chief, the next thing that I want to talk about, shout out to Cade Holiday. Appreciate you for checking in on our Facebook Live feed. And, of course, Cade will have the totals each and every night of the number of people who have voted. Early voting is going on the Team Jonesboro proposal. Again, KLEK, we do not take a position either for or against the tax, but we definitely encourage you to go out and vote. And the Craighead County Election Annex and the Lake City Courthouse are open. They're going to be open until 5 o'clock today. So when you get on your lunch break, make sure that you go out and vote, whether you're for it or against it. So getting back to Chief, another issue that has caused some concern, especially in the minority community, are these 287G laws where law enforcement have agreements with ICE for immigration enforcement. And, of course, where this ties into Craighead County, Sheriff Boyd has entered into a MOA, a memorandum of agreement with ICE to deputize his deputies for this purpose, which has caused some concern within the Hispanic community. And there's been some people in the community that have met with him expressing their concerns, and I think he's still kind of weighing his options before making a final decision. But I wanted to get your thoughts on this situation, Chief, and what role, if any, Jonesboro Police will play in this matter.
No, we actually don't have a role in this matter. It's the officers that's in the booking section of the jail when they come in that they're looking at being deputized, and they're putting the information in and into the system. So yeah, we understand that it's caused some concern, but I think on the other hand that if there's going to be information put in the system, it may be able to process people in and out of the jail quicker, because once the data gets put in, then the turnaround for the detainment could be shorter.
Well, I think, Chief, what the concern is not necessarily the criminals, but I think there's concern that now you're going to have Craighead County deputies riding through neighborhoods just randomly rounding up people.
No, that is not the case. It's just when somebody's that's brought in that's illegal, then they're going to put the information into the system for data purposes. Jonesboro Police Department, on our daily routine, we do not ask about immigration status. So when we contact people, that is not our concern, whether you're here legally or illegally. I just encourage that if you're living in Jonesboro and you're a victim of a crime, then you can, if you're afraid to talk to the police and report that, reach out to the Hispanic Center, and they can help you through the process and work with the police. And we've visited the Hispanic Center several times, and try to educate the Hispanic community on their concerns, and we understand their concerns, and we're trying to work with the community and address those the best that we can.
Okay, and I definitely echo Chief's sentiments. I know Gina and all of the people that are very good people. So for all of my Hispanics out there listening, or people who may know people in the Hispanic community, if they need help, please direct them to the Hispanic Center.
Absolutely, and I encourage them to, Gina and Leo have my number, and I encourage the Hispanic community to go to them. It's their resource, and ask those questions, and Gina and Leo will contact me, and I can give them the answer. Or I'll be glad to go down there and answer them at a group meeting, as I did a few weeks ago.
And that is one thing, Chief. I've said this since you've taken over as Chief. You definitely make yourself available and accessible to all constituencies: black, white, Hispanic, poor, rich. It doesn't matter. If there's a community group or a community event going on, you've never told us no. Maybe unless you had a conflict, but even then, that's been extremely rare. But
been very few conflicts, and when I took over 5 years ago, I knew there was problems in the community, concerns in the community that had to be addressed, and we had to bridge that gap. So being out in the community and being face to face with the community that you serve is very important. So this is why I do try to make these events and be available, because I want people to see that, I'm here to protect and serve you on a daily basis, and I enjoy doing it. And we have a dedicated bunch of men and women at the police department and dispatch that are here to serve the public day in and day out, and this is their life calling, and we're very fortunate to have people that want to step up and do this in today's times.
Oh, absolutely. All right, Chief, the next thing I want to talk about is the Street Crimes Unit. Of course, we're often seeing on social media about all of the busts that they're doing. They're finding all types of drugs, weapons, counterfeit money, just all kinds of stuff that they are getting off the streets, and it definitely seems to be making a difference. So let's kind of talk about the work of the Street Crimes Unit.
Oh, absolutely. We brought the Street Crimes Unit back 2 years ago when staffing got back up to a level that I could bring them back and let them do what they do on a daily basis. When I first took over, staffing was at a low, and I had to disband that unit just to make minimum staffing on the shifts. And now that manpower is back up, we brought the unit back 2 years ago, and they've been very proactive out there on a daily basis and trying to suppress crime.
Now, obviously, to do the number of busts that they do, they've obviously have to be getting some good information from the public to even know where these people with these drugs are at to actually go and bust them.
Sure. I mean, many times we've been on the radio, get involved in the community. And apparently people have taken my advice, and they have seen what the drugs have caused, the problems that the drugs have caused in our community, and the lives and families that have been destroyed by these drugs. So I think the community as a whole is getting to the point of being fed up with the drug problem and the drug culture, and they're finally stepping up and saying that enough's enough and we want it out of here. So therefore information comes in, and we take it from there, and a lot of times it's developed to the point of making an arrest.
Absolutely. And of course, we're going to talk about some of the upcoming events. We kind of touched on them in the beginning of the show, but October 1st, we've got National Night Out, always a good event to do. In fact, there's several all around town. Let's talk about those.
Sure. That's an event that in several neighborhoods throughout the city kind of get together, and we want people to get out of their house and interact with your neighbors and get a chance to know your neighbor. And too often in today's times, you don't know the neighbors that live near you, around you. And this one night we want to get everybody out and get together and try to get people to be more interactive with their neighborhood, and kind of help take care of the neighborhood throughout the rest of the year. Help each other on suspicious activity in the neighborhood, report it, things like that. But it's a good community building experience with each other. Of course, law enforcement is present at each of these events, and we have that community conversation with the public, and we let them know that, hey, we're here to protect y'all day in and day out. And a lot of times the officer that normally works that area is showing up at these events, so they're putting names with faces and making those contacts and establishing that good relationship, so when they do patrol the area, that you can say hey to somebody by their name, and then that person, on the other hand, if they see something, they'll be glad to call that particular officer. So it's a great program. It goes on across the country, and it has worked well for us here in Jonesboro, and we just encourage people to participate. And as you said, you'll be set up at the Scenic Hills Association.
NJNI and I believe Fisher Street. So we're going to be making our rounds. So
right.
You can definitely catch us there. And you can also catch us at Touch a Truck, which will be September 14th. Now, Chief, what police vehicles you going to have out there?
Well, the DARE vehicles, we'll have patrol cars and K-9 unit scheduled to be out there.
So kids, you get to climb in the police car, you get to turn the siren on, turn the lights on, and not just with that, but the fire truck. They let you climb inside the fire truck. Have the 18-wheelers, the construction equipment. They got the old school cars as well.
Little variety of things.
Chief, you gonna bring the Corvette? Let them crawl in the Corvette?
Probably not.
You don't know about all that, huh?
But kids always love this event. It gives them a chance to go out and just climb on this equipment, and that's what kids like to do: learn and explore and get hands-on. And it's always been a great turnout. And again, it's a good community building event. So encourage everybody to come on out.
And that goes down September 14th at NEA Baptist Hospital. Is going to start, I believe, 10 a.m. Yeah, from 10 to 1:30. And of course, KLK, we will be out there providing music. Quabila has a question. We'll ask it on the other side of the break. And of course, you have a question, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. We'll leave your questions or your comments on our live feed. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our final segment. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Our Think Wealthy quote of the week comes from veteran financial journalist Ali Velshi, host of Real Money with Ali Velshi on Al Jazeera America, and co-author with fellow financial journalist Christine Romans of How to Speak Money, the language and knowledge you need now. Velshi says, I'm frustrated with people who say they don't understand money and don't understand investing, but who also never made any effort to learn. I would suggest to you that investment risk, people's biggest fear, goes down exponentially based on how much you learn about how money works. Once you have a basic understanding, it's a lot less scary. None of us were born with the understanding of money and investing. I can assure you I did not grow up learning about money management, real estate investing, and the stock market at our kitchen table. I became an expert on money because I committed to learning it for both personal and professional benefit. Make financial education your personal priority. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com. Meineke of Jonesboro is now Stark's Auto Service, a full-service auto repair and vehicle maintenance center offering engine and transmission repair, brake service, tires, oil changes, and more, performed by ASE certified mechanics. Stark's Auto Service, 2813 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, 870-204-7112. Stark's Auto Service, Jonesboro.com.
New Life Empowerment Ministries presents Divine Wisdom by Consecration Conference, Saturday, September 7th, 2019, at First Baptist Church, 700 Kitchen Street, Jonesboro, Arkansas, 72401. The time is from 8:30 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. The conference hosts are Pastor Reverend Dr. Greg Ota and First Lady Carla Ota. The featured speakers will be Dr. Paul Harris, Reverend Spencer Orimaja, Bishop Matthew Lloyd, Reverend Dr. Curtis Wilson, and Dr. Danelle Brown. Lunch will be provided. Registration and other information is available at newlifeempowerment.org.
Hi, I'm R-Dub, host of Sunday Night Slow Jams, with a special invitation to join me this Sunday night. We're going to slow it down and make the most of the last few moments of your weekend. With slow jams and special expressions to the ones you love. So come on through and bring a friend. I'll see you for Sunday Night Slow Jams. Sundays from 8 to midnight on 102.5 KLEK.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
KLEK 102.5 FM salutes small businesses. Small businesses promote local character and success, keeping money in the local economy, local jobs, entrepreneurship, community well-being, and so much more. Contact us today to learn more on how your small business could be featured on KLEK for as little as $25 per month. Shout out to Always and Forever Pet Grooming, offering baths, nails, and haircuts for dogs and cats. 2929 South Caraway Road, Jonesboro. 870-520-0925.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK with our guest, Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott and Craighead County E91 Director Jeff Presley. All right, Kabila had a question before we went to break. It says, will Jeff or E911 be present at the events discussing emergency services and possibly getting people to create a smart 911 profile until the new system is in place?
You bet. We're going to be set up with our mobile command unit with several dispatchers rotating through that center at the county fair all week. We'll be there every afternoon, start at 4 o'clock to close. We'll be set up right there as you enter the midway behind Rocky Clement's Magic Show. And then at the Barbecue Fest coming up downtown, you'll see Jonesboro 911 mobile command set up down there with safety cameras. So stop by and say hi to us, and if you need help with that Smart 911, just go to smart911.com and we can help you build your profile.
And I'm going to go ahead and give a quick spoiler alert. Our very own Quabila Jones is actually going to be doing some livestock announcing at the fair. So, so I don't know if Quabila's going to have a pink cowgirl hat on or not. You'll probably have to go out there to find out. All right, so Chief, we got inside of our last few minutes, anything that you want to talk about that we either not touched upon or anything that you want to touch back upon?
Well, it's that time of year. School's back in session, and our morning school traffic is picked back up. So we just ask everybody that as you're out and about taking your child to school, just be mindful of other traffic and try to avoid being in a hurry and be kind and considerate to others, and just be patient, and so everybody can get their child to school and dropped off safely. And same thing applies in the afternoon. Traffic gets kind of heavy sometimes after school. I will like to remind everybody that when you see a stopped school bus and the lights are flashing and the signs out, then you must stop. You cannot pass that stopped school bus. And there's been some news segments on TV here recently about people disregarding that and children almost getting hit. It is a very, very costly fine for passing that stopped school bus. So pay attention to what you're doing, and again, that bus is stopped, loading or unloading, you must stop, even if you're going in the opposite direction.
All right, Kabila says no cowgirl gear this time, but if someone wants to donate to the cause, all right, we need a pink cowgirl hat donated to the KLEK studio. I'm putting out a call. I need somebody to donate a pink cowboy hat to the KLEK studio. We need it ASAP. All right, Jeff, did you have any final thoughts?
Well, something that's been on my mind since the hurricanes down in Florida. Let's remember those folks in our prayers, and the law enforcement, the first responders that's doing a great job down there, and I hear some of our local folks are going down to help. So let's just remember those folks every day in our prayers, that they'll be safe.
Absolutely. Chief?
Ditto.
All right. Of course, this is All Gospel Wednesday, so we have great gospel music all day long. Brother Cox will join us at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. We have gospel music all the way up until 8 o'clock p.m. tonight. Early voting is still going on for the 1% sales tax election. KLEK, we're not going to tell you which way to vote, but we are definitely going to tell you to vote, whether you are for or against the tax. You can vote at the Craighead County Election Annex on Jefferson Street or the Lake City Courthouse, and the polls will be open until 5 o'clock p.m. Then join us Monday from 3 o'clock p.m. until 4:30 p.m. We are going to have a debate live on the radio and live streamed on Facebook. We're going to have representatives from Team Jonesboro and representatives from Citizens Taxed Enough face-to-face in the studio. They're going to hash out the pros and cons, and we're going to take your calls, and we're going to let you weigh in as well so that you can be informed as you step into the voting booth on Tuesday. I know some of you may have already have voted by then, but for those who are kind of waiting, haven't made up their mind yet, wait until election day, then this will be your opportunity to hear from both sides. You've heard from both sides individually. We've live streamed several events, but we're going to have them together. So that's Monday from 3 to 4:30 p.m. please spread the word. Chief, you're looking at me like something man just came up in your mind.
I'm good.
All righty. So once again, we thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Chief, we thank you for joining us as always, and Jeff, we thank you for coming as well. And Jeff, we hope to have you and some people back on September 11th for our first responder show. And also go back on our Facebook page, y'all, and you can check out these gentlemen. They were earlier on the radio for our Wednesday morning Bible study. Had a very spiritual discussion on obedience. So there you have it. You guys have a great and blessed day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Broadcasting from the First National Bank Tower, this is KLEK-LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council.
Good morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. An isolated light shower